Hello everyone and welcome to Theory Crafting. In this video, I'll attempt an hardcore Nuzlocke challenge in Pokémon Emerald using only stolen Pokémon. However, the only Pokémon games where you get to steal Pokémon from the other trainers are Colosseum and XD. I really loved those games as a kid, and that's probably why I like when someone adds the same mechanic to the mainline games. In this case, through some codes, I can allow myself to steal from other trainers. It's important to notice that catching the opponent's Pokémon ends the battle immediately. With this in mind, let me explain the rules. Most of the basic Nuzlocke rules apply normally, so when a Pokémon faints, it's considered gone forever. No over-leveling, no items in battle, only held items are allowed, and I'll play on set mode. Also, I'm using the dupe clause, so I cannot catch two Pokémon of the same species or evolution line. Usually, in a Nuzlocke, you can catch the first Pokémon you encounter in each route. In this case, I'll be able to steal the first Pokémon of the first non-mandatory trainer in each route. This way, I won't make any mandatory fight easier. For some extra challenge, I can steal Pokémon while I'm in a city. This is merely to avoid getting extra encounters from the gyms, and Shedinja is banned for obvious reasons. Without further ado, let's start the run. As always, the Pokémon researcher that loves being in the field can handle a level 2 Zigzagoon. He asks for help, but I'd rather start my career as a thief, so I take his Trico. I help him out of guilt, and then it seems like my little thievery has been forgotten already. After doing the usual stuff, I head to Route 102. There, I steal a Wurmple from Bugcatcher Rick and name him Pongo. After some careful training, Pongo evolves into Dustox, which I'm sure is gonna be great for the second gym. In Petalbug Woods, I steal a Nincada from another Bugcatcher and I name it Lenny. At this point, I go and fight the twins on Route 104. They send out Seedot first, so I go ahead and throw a Pokeball at it. But something is not quite right. It must be a direct consequence of my bad actions, so I decide to release the Trico to rebalance my karma. Anyway, Lucky the Seedot becomes Lucky the Nuzleaf, and with Ballyseed he is easily able to defeat Roxanne's team. After the gym, I teach Cat to Lenny and head to the route north to Rastboro. There is a trainer with a rolls, but if I want to reach him, there are a few spinners to dodge. Thanks to my speedrunner technique, I'm able to fight him first and steal his rolls with a Premier Ball. I name him Wizard, and it should be worth the trouble considering how strong Gardevoir is, but due to some reckless training, I ironically lose my Psychic type against the first trainer of the fighting gym. It's probably a good moment to tell you that I'm fairly new to Nuzlocking. Anyway, Pongo is easily able to handle the rest of the gym, and Broly himself can do anything against him. I also taught Thief to Pongo so that he could steal the Citrus Berry from Akuhita. Now I can plant it and have as many as I want. Before moving on, there are few Pokémon I can steal, especially around Slateport. Route 106, Blob the Tentacool from Fisherman Ned. Route 109, Ichi the Zigzagoon from Tuber Ricky. Route 110, Rolly the Aeron from Youngster DeAndre. Route 103, Perdita the Shroomish from Aroma Lady Daisy. With hindsight, I probably should have stolen a Magikarp instead, because now I don't have anything that can safely deal with my rival's Combusken. Mistakes were made. After a long training session, I still have to go into the fight, risking at least one crit. Ichi is now fully evolved and a single headbutt takes down the rival's Wingull. Combusken is next, and I switch into Perdita, who's become a strong Breloom. She should be able to tank one Ember, so I go ahead and use Leech Seed. I dodge the crit, and now I can safely send out Pongo. I stall a few turns with Moonlight, but as I get crit, I have to switch again. At this point, Blob is easily able to finish the job, even with his terrible moveset. I'll have to plan my future fights better, but for now, I'm happy to reach Mobile. First thing first, I go to Route 111 and steal a Numel. I name him Smokey and train him up to the level cap. I also steal a Doduo from the route West Mobile, but as much as I like it, I honestly don't see myself using it. Smokey is going to do most of the job against Watson, but Voltorb might blow itself up, so I have to be careful. So, The plan is to lead with Numel and switch into Aaron immediately. But I forgot to put Smokey up front and ended up leading with Roll instead. So it's not a big mistake on my part. I land a Mud Slap, but Spark hits hard, so I switch into Smokey. Now Voltorb should either use Self-Destruct or Rollout, so it's back to Rolly. The second rollout fails, but then an Headbutt crit puts me out of this unnecessarily awkward situation. At this point, Smokey can magnitude his way through, so badge number 3 is acquired. Now I have to go all the way to Meteor Falls, and this means that I can steal a bunch of new stuff. Route 112, Freckles the Geodude from Hiker Trend. Route 113, Latch the Skarmory from Birdkeeper Kobe. Route 114, Pepper the Barboach from Fisherman Nolan. And finally, I'm able to steal Bravo the Zangoose from Collector Hector, using my very last ball. Apart maybe from the Geodude, I think these are all good encounters. Anyway, it's time for the first battle against Maxie. I lead with Blob to avoid the attack drop on Perdita, and then I start spamming Mach Punch. After burning a super potion, Maxie switches into Zubat, so I send out Aaron, which can easily deal with it. I should have probably brought Skarmory, because now Maxie sends out Camerupt, and I'm not sure if he's going to use Ember or Magnitude. I decide to send Itchy to use Surf, and I'm luckily able to dodge the crit. What I didn't know is that Surf never kills here, but a clutch critical hit saves Itchy from the grave. You can really call me out for my beginner's luck here. With Maxie defeated, I can go and face Flannery. Thanks to some EV training, Blob is able to outspeed and one-shot most of her team with Bubble Beam, but Torkoal is not so easy. Everyone except Blob dies from a critical hit over Heat, so I'll have to take fewer risks. First of all, I switch into Pongo, as Torkoal goes for Attract. That's unfortunate, but I can switch back to Blob to tank the first overheat. Now it's a guaranteed Body Slam, so it's back to Pongo. Thanks to Shield Dust, he cannot be paralyzed, and then I stall the second overheat with Protect. Blob now has to dodge the crit, and thankfully he doesn't let me down. I do the same thing once more, but I don't feel like risking another crit on Blob, so I just send out Freckles to tank the last overheat. Sorry Freckles. With just Body Slam, Torkoal is no longer a threat, so it goes down without causing any real trouble. Badge number 4 is mine, and finally Blob evolves into a strong Tentacruel. Norman is next, but I already have a solid plan for him. As you can see, I use the TM for Ball Cap on Perdita. I set up on the first turn a spin that confuses me with Glitter Dance. My Persim Berry activates, and one Mach Punch takes it down. Vigoroth never dies in one hit, and Norman wastes one Hyper Potion on it, which is really good. Linoone is a one-shot, and last is Laking, so I switch in Rolly to tank the hit. He goes for counter, and then I switch into Pongo during the Loafing turn. At this point, thanks to my Lepa Berry, I can stall Slaking for a lot of turns with Protect. But Pongo deals so little damage that eventually I run out of PP, so I have to switch into Rolly and then into Perdita during the Loafing turn. One last Mach Punch takes it down, and another gym is defeated. Pongo the Dustox did a really good job so far, but probably from now on you won't see much action anymore. The long route before Fort Tree has a lot of trainers, but I'm only interested in one in particular. Guitarist Fabian has Manectric, and since I know it has a pretty bad catch rate, I want to go in prepared. Pepper the Whiscash is honestly really bad overall, but here he is able to hold long enough, and after some struggle, I finally steal the Manectric. I name him Spark, and he is for sure going to be helpful against the next gym. I train him in the sea routes, so I use the occasion to steal few Pokémons. Nothing relevant really, except maybe for Spanky the Carvanha, stolen from Swimmer Lewis on Route 105. Anyway, after some more training, I'm ready for the fight at the Flying Gym. I lead with Manectric, and a single Spark takes down Winona Swablu. Altaria comes out next. I'm always dead to Earthquake, so I safely switch into Lucky, who's now become a Shiftry. I use Fake Out for some cheap damage, and then I can safely switch into Blob, since Altaria will always use Aerial Ace. One Ice Beam is now enough to kill, so her ace is down. Another Ice Beam deals decent damage to Skarmory, as it tries in vain to lower my accuracy. Now I can safely switch into Spark, who easily finishes the job. Next is Tropius, so it's back to Blob. The strong sunlight is going to boost its solar beam along with its speed, but Blob is still faster and can just use Ice Beam for the one shot. Last is Pelipper, but Spark can deal with it no problem, so that's badge number 6. The amount of trainers in the upcoming routes really tickles my urge to steal, so I go ahead and plunder some of them. Route 120, Tipper the Loathad from Ranger Jaina. Route 121, Spook the Duskull from Hexmaniac Tammy. Route 123, Speedy the Swallow from Cool Trainer Braxton. By the way, most of the times the ordinary trainers have the worst possible IV and nature to make things easier for the player. This Swallow is kind of an exception because it has 12 IV for each stat and its nature is adamant. But I don't want to bore you with this kind of detail, so let's just say that Speedy is a cut above the rest of my Pokémon. The Team Aqua and Magma stuff is pretty much forgettable, but the Maxi fight is worth attention. I lead with Lucky to chip some health with Fake Out. Due to Intimidate, it doesn't deal enough damage, so I switch into Blob. The AI hates being slower, so I can safely expect a Scary Face. Then I switch back to Lucky for another Fake Out. My Tiena uses Swagger, but my Persimmon Berry cures the confusion, and this time Shiftry hits pretty hard. I send Blob again, but unfortunately I switch into a Swagger. That's really unusual, but I had a Persimmon Berry just in case. One Surf takes down my Tiena, and Camerupt is next. The outcome here is pretty obvious, but Crobat is last and might give some issues. Blob is just barely faster and hits a strong Ice Beam, but then Crobat confuses me, and this time I don't have my berry. I know Maxi is gonna heal, so I try a second Ice Beam, with bad results. It's safe to switch into Spark, but he's slower and one bite makes him flinch, putting him in crit range. At this point I switch back to Blob, as he keeps biting, so I just end the battle with one last Ice Beam. A bit of bad luck there, but no real danger. The next big fight is the one against Tate and Liza. I'm not too worried, but coming up with a zero risk plan for a double battle can be tricky. After some thinking and training, I should be ready for the battle. I lead with Spark and Lucky. Fake Out makes sure that Claydol can't Earthquake Spark to death and a single Thunderbolt one-shots Xatu. Lunaton comes out next, and I pre-damage Spark to make sure it is a kill with Psychic, so I use Protect with Spark, while Lucky takes care of Claydol with Giga Drain. At this point, I switch out Spark and send Spanky, who is now evolved into Sharpedo. Thanks to my Miracle Seed, one more Giga Drain is enough to take down Claydol, as Lunaton wastes another turn using Psychic. Solrock is last, but both Lucky and Spanky are faster and are able to kill it with a joint effort. Lunaton's only damaging move is Psychic, so it's safe to say that nothing can go wrong from here. Now there is only one badge left, but before that I have to fight the two team leaders, Maxi and Archie. They are both really easy. Blob takes care of the double battle at the Space Center, and Spark is able to sweep Archie's team with Thunderbolt. With that done, I can move to Sootopolis. Considering my team, I don't see the fight against one giving much trouble, but I have to plan something for the Kindra. After some training, I should be ready for the last gym leader. One leads with a weak Love Disc, and I switch Blob for Spark right away. Love Disc tends to use things like Sweet Kiss and Attract, so I have to switch back and forth until that doesn't happen. Then a single Thunderbolt one-shots it and Blob grows to level 47, learning Screech. Whiscash comes out, so I switch to Lucky expecting an Earthquake. He goes for Amnesia, which is annoying, but then two Giga Drains are still enough to take it down. Next is Celio, so I switch back to Spark. Aurora Beam does pitiful damage, and now I can Thunderbolt both Celio and Crodant for the one shot. Last is Kindra, but Blob completely walls in. He has Rest and Double Team though, so to avoid any shenanigans I use Screech 3 times and then a single Sludge Bomb is able to one shot. Now that the last badge is acquired, all is left before the league is Victory Road. The mandatory trainers there are kind of a joke, and there is one last Pokémon I want to steal, but before that I have to deal with Wally. It's by no means a difficult fight, but since I need to start training for the league anyway, I go ahead and do that. I want Perdita in the final team, but I need to EV train her to have a better attack. It's an easy task if you consider that Macho Brace and that Mightyena are pretty common in the route East 4-3. To make things faster, I even found a shiny one. I read on the internet that a shiny Pokémon yields double the amount of EV, so I'm pretty happy about it. Anyway, Wally doesn't stand a chance. He leads with Altaria, so it's an easy Ice Beam one shot for Blob. Next is Gardevoir, but Shiftry is immune to Psychic and ignores evasion thanks to Feint Attack. Third is Roselia, so it's back to Blob. It's not a one shot, but 2 Ice Beam are more than enough to take it down. Magneton comes out and I switch to Perdita, who now has Brick Break. Screech doesn't matter and a single Brick Break one shots it. Last is Delcatty, but it's just another Brick Break on the wall. As I said, there is one last Pokémon I want to steal. I carefully look for Cool Trainer Felix, and then I steal his Medicham with my Master Ball. For some reason, Disco the Medicham only knows Psychic, but at level 46 he should learn Reversal, and that's all I need. To be honest, even if they all have bad stats, I have a lot of strong Pokémon to choose from for my final team. So, to make things just a bit harder, I'm going to use Sydney's Haste to determine the level cap upon entering the League Challenge. The champion is going to have his own level cap, but I doubt I'll be able to level up so much during the Elite Four. Anyway, after a long training session, I'm ready for the final 5 battles of the run. First is Sydney, the Dark-type specialist. He leads with Mightyena, so when I send out Perdita, my attack is dropped by Intimidate. But that is what I've been saving my White Herb for. With my attack restored, I can just click Brick Break 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I wish I could share a more exciting tactic, but it is what it is. So, Phoebe is second and I brought a new face just for her. Bravo the Zangoose is perfect to deal with her team of ghosts. The first Dusclops only has Shadow Punch as a damaging move, so it's safe to use Substitute and set up 3 Swords Dance. The Substitute prevents getting confused or cursed, so it's pretty much necessary here. Once the setup is done, Bravo the Zangoose outspeeds and one-shots everything with Shadow Ball. If all appears to be too easy, my brain makes sure to spice things up. My answer to Glacia was supposed to be Medicham, which I made sure to bring down to 1 HP for a max power reversal. But I forgot to EV train his speed, so Disco the Medicham is literally useless because he will never attack first. To be honest, Perdita could have been able to deal with Glacia just fine, if only I didn't get rid of Bulk Up. So I had to improvise something, and in the heat of the moment I took more risks than necessary. First of all, I decided to use 3 of my rare candies to reach level 53 with Perdita. It isn't against any of my rules, and I didn't even go past Glacia's Ace, so it seems completely fair to me. Now I can give it a shot. Celio is first, and Perdita can simply Brick Break for the one shot. Same goes for the second Celio, but then Walrein comes out. I need to soften him up before attacking with Perdita, and Bravo the Zangoose is my safest bet. First I need a clean switch, so I send out Disco. He was supposed to be the star of the fight, and now he's been downgraded to necessary sacrifice. Anyway, I send out Bravo. He has to hit 2 Shadow Balls before going down, but there's no way I can survive a crit. So I use Shadow Ball and... well, that failed. Bravo the Zangoose dodged more than a crit, and even manages to land few more hits than needed, but eventually he has to go. But now there's no time for mourning. Perdita has to carry on Bravo's legacy and fulfill his dreams. One Brick Break can now take down Walrein, and the 2 Glalie after don't pose much of a challenge. So, that oversight cost me 2 members of my team, and now I have to face Drake. He leads with a Shelgon, and I send out Deeper the Ludicolo. Deeper has Swift Swim as an ability, so I set up Rain Dance as Shelgon wastes his turn with Protect. Thanks to the Never Melt Ice and some EV training, Deeper's Ice Beam is able to one-shot Shelgon, and the same goes for the Altaria right after. But Kingdra is next, and it has Dragon Dance, so I have to be careful. First, I want to store a Rain turn with Protect, even if that gives him the chance to set up. Then I switch into Spook the Dusclops, which is immune to Body Slam, Kindra's only physical move. The rain stops, and without it, not even a critical Surf can take down Spook, so I just go for Curse. Then I stall 1 turn with Protect, as Kindra's HP bar keeps going down. This was Spook's only purpose, so I can let her go. After that, I send out Perdita. Kingdra is not in healing range, so it's safe to just use Mach Punch and then let the curse do the rest. Flygon is up next, and, as sad as it is, the safest play is to let Perdita faint. She did what she had to do, and much more, but it's time to say goodbye. Then I send out Deeper and set up a Rain Dance, as an Earthquake deals a respectable amount of damage. Now Deeper outspeeds, and a single Ice Beam avenges Perdita. Salamence is last, but it's just another one-shot with Ice Beam. With that, the Elite Four is defeated. Only the champion is left, and I'm down to 2 Pokémon. Before the final battle, I use the remaining rare candies to boost Speedy the Swallow up to level 55. Now I'm ready. I know it's kind of a cliché, but I couldn't resist the Facade Guts Boosted Swallow. The champion's entire team is outsped and brutally one-shotted by Speedy the Swallow. It's not even close. The only one that could resist is Gyarados due to Intimidate, but I don't take any chances and switch to Deeper to get rid of the attack drop. One last Facade one-shots Gyarados and puts the reward end to this run. So I guess that's it. Crime does pay after all. I'll be honest, this was the first time I took my time to actually go all the way through a Nuzlocke, and it was a lot of fun. It's also the first time I do a voiceover, so any feedback is really appreciated. I already have another idea for a Nuzlocke, but until then, back to theory crafting.